Welcome to the Pocatello Business Podcast, the only Pocatello podcast focused on providing profits for Pocatello people. If you love our town and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Pocatello Business Podcast with your friend, host, all-around great guy, and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, let's see. Make sure this isn't getting in our faces here. I am with Rob Kirkham, manager of Dell's Inc., manager of Dell's Outdoor Advertising, and also a realtor at Premier Properties.
That's right.
Very cool. And sponsor of this show.
Happy to finally be here.
That's right. We need the sponsors. We enjoy the billboards.
Yeah.
So let's get going here. So Rob, you grew up as a Pocatello boy.
Yep.
He was one of the first classes of Century.
Yeah. So
you're, what, 5 years in?
05.
05.
So yeah, I think 5 years in. Yeah.
5 years in. You went on to Brigham Young University.
That's right.
Graduated there.
Yep.
I didn't find that. What was your degree in?
So yeah, I majored in English with a minor in philosophy.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Smarter guy than I am. That's for sure.
No, clearly not. Philosophy major is like the opposite of smart. It's fun though.
Good. All right. And then you went on from, you also served a 2-year mission in the Philippines.
The Philippines, yeah.
Learned Tagalog.
Tagalog, yep.
And then after BYU, you got a job in Taiwan.
Yeah, so my wife and I lived in Taiwan for a year teaching English.
If I could pronounce the company you worked for, I would, but it was in like hieroglyphics, so I didn't understand it.
Yeah, it was in Chinese. Yeah.
Chinese,
yeah.
I told you
I can't even pronounce it, to be fair. I don't speak Chinese.
Well, that is cool. So you came back from Taiwan.
Yep.
And then you entered into the Dell's Outdoor Advertising.
Yeah.
The property management for Dell's Inc.
Yeah.
And now into real estate.
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool. And that's about it, right? Am I forgetting anything?
No, I think that's a good summary.
Okay. So tell us a little about yourself, your hobbies, your family, what makes you you.
So yeah, I like you said, born and raised here in Pocatello. Lived in Utah for a while I was getting my degree. Married a girl from Pocatello. Actually grew up in the same neighborhood that you live in. So
awesome.
I drove right past her house, on her old house on my way up here. And
very good.
We have 3 kids. Our oldest is 5 and our youngest is 1. And that's pretty much me right now, is taking care of little kids. So, and working, and
I like it.
I do a little photography on the side.
What I was gonna say.
So yeah,
I forgot to mention that in your introduction, is that the profile picture of the Facebook page is actually your shot.
Of the hospital. Yeah, that was fun.
So yeah, he's very accomplished at photography. He's good. He's got some good stuff. I used to have a calendar of his hanging up, but that was last year. So
yeah, I didn't make one for 2020. Which it turns out most people don't want to remember 2020 anyway. So.
I like it. Okay, well, tell us kind of how, Dell's Outdoor Advertising. Do you have the stats on the top of your head? How many billboards are you guys running?
So we have 22 structures.
Okay.
So that's 44 faces.
Both sides, yeah.
Yep. And we are currently in Pocatello and Blackfoot.
Okay.
So kind of a limited market, but we do have a sizable footprint within that market. And so we have several interstate billboards, 6 of them coming into Pocatello, which is a nice little commodity. There are very few actually interstate facing billboards in the city limits of Pocatello. It's quite a challenge to get them, and so we're proud of those, and those are probably our crown jewels. Yeah, they're nice.
So how did your family get into the billboard business?
Well, so Dale in the Dale's Outdoor
Sure.
Advertising is my grandfather, and he was just an entrepreneur. He started off as a salvage company. He did junkyards, ripped cars apart. Then he started a car lot, and when you have junkyards, one thing that you need is you need land. And so he looked at every possible way of maximizing his return on the land and building multiple income streams into it. And he put up old signs. And back in the day, he and my dad they'd get a projector and they'd put like a transparency on, and then they'd project it on, and then they'd hand paint all the signs. And it'd take hours and hours, and it's much simpler and refined now. But it was crazy. I actually remember as a kid going up in the man lift with my dad in the bucket, and he would be painting on the signs.
Wow.
And so I've been kind of around it my whole life, and it's always been sort of a complementary side to our primary focus, which has been real estate and commercial properties. But anytime that we have a commercial property where we can get a zoned approved billboard, we'll put one up.
Very cool. Very cool. Is there rules to like which ones can be lit up at night, which ones can't, or is there?
Not so much on which ones can be lit up. It's more on the type of zoning and how close they are to other things. Like you can't have a billboard within a certain number of feet of schools and residential neighborhoods. And, there's other types of requirements on size.
Sure.
And stuff like that. And the lighting has to be a certain kind of lighting. That's also regulated.
Yeah.
But you can't just have
some shining into someone's
Ted's
neighborhood.
It has to be shining up.
Deborah's yard.
Yeah. It has to be shining up. So
I like it. So I will. You probably heard that. We've got a lot of mileage out of this because everyone knows Ken Oram.
Yeah, sure.
And he was just really big on how well billboards helped grow ICCU.
Yeah, he gave a nice plug, and
that's right.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really interesting, because we do ads, we do a little ads sponsorship for you every episode. But it's interesting. I didn't realize that when you told me that 70% of people recognize the billboards up there, and they're getting caught. Their attention's getting caught by it, and then 30% are making a buying decision within a week.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool little stat that it's been studied. I can't remember what study it was.
It was probably the most famous billboard study to date. It's actually getting a little old, and they'll probably do a follow up on it soon. Is called the Arbitron outdoor study or something like that, or in-car Arbitron in-car study. And they have some really interesting statistics you can look up on that. For almost 40% of people who drive by a billboard look at it every time they drive by it.
That's interesting.
It's just sort of this thing that we are just drawn to things, and especially if they change periodically, which with digital billboards now is huge. The likelihood of a commuter looking at the digital billboard is way, way higher than even the old static boards, which was already quite high. And so they do grab people's attention, and if done correctly, they're very quick. You can get your message out in a split second. That's the ideal billboard. 3 or 4 words, get your branding out there, build your awareness of your company and your brand and what you're doing.
Yep. And we talked about this before with like Kelly Martinez and a little bit with Ken Oram, that you see a lot of boring billboard designs that do not catch attention, are very neutral in color, and they blend in with their environment, and they don't really pop like they should, and that's one thing I recognize. Like I'll pay attention to them more now, and I'm looking like it's hard to read that one. I don't understand that logo, or what are they trying to convey as a message, So that's right. Like 3 to 4 words. And I've also heard, 6 to 8 is the max.
Yeah.
Kind of what you want to have.
Yeah. 3 to 4 is obviously, it's very difficult to get a message out.
Yeah.
But if you think about interstate billboards and a lot of highway billboards, people are driving by 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of time to communicate your message.
Sure.
And so if you're putting your phone number and your website and your address and your all that, I mean, that's okay, but they're probably not going to be able to retain all of that information.
Exactly.
So just getting a quick message out is key.
Exactly. It's more a lot for top of mind awareness.
Yeah.
When Kelly Martinez, he was just on our show. When this airs, it'll be a month past, but we just released his episode, and that guy's brilliant.
Yeah.
Coming up with differentiators for people, because he's ran ads, he's helped people come up with that. And, you always hear some of the same boring taglines. For quality service and affordable pricing, call this number. Everyone and their dog does that. Say something that makes your company unique. We know your company's not perfect. We don't, you don't want to use too much puffery. Don't make any false claims, but make it entertaining and make it to the point. Do you ever come across that with people saying, hey, I want this billboard, this is my message, and you're like, wow, this is like a paragraph, bro, like this?
Well, I'm right now working with someone. I'm going to meet with them this afternoon to finish their proof. And the first time they brought in a proof, they actually had an expletive on the billboard. And I said, it was edited out. Like, they didn't spell out the whole word. They put like some asterisks in there. And I was like, yeah, that will be recognized. People will notice that, but I'm not sure it's going to get you exactly the response that you want. And I know it's not going to get my company the response that I want. So I recommended we reconsider the language there. So we want to be memorable, but maybe not too memorable is the key. But yeah, I completely agree. I think as a business owner, most business owners tend to be conservative. Mm-hmm. They don't want to do anything that's going to have negative blowback, like using an expletive would probably have.
You don't want moms going like this.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it's finding that balance of being unique and funny and memorable without causing your customers to be offended or
concerned,
alienated. So
I agree. And I've also heard, even though that is true, it's still, they remember it.
Well, they would definitely remember
They'll remember it. Bad advertising, good advertising, they remember it. And they, they'll keep it in their head. One that gets my attention every time, I don't know if it's still there or not, but when you're heading to Idaho Falls, Bingham Memorial has like a set of a series of signs that all in order.
Yep.
And it starts with head, they're talking about all their doctors, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And the toes, you're like, after knees, you're like, okay, where's the toe? Everyone's expecting it, and it's a little bit further in the distance, and then you're like, got it.
Yeah, and they actually work really hard to do that because they have those on boards with multiple different billboard companies, and so they and once upon a time they were a customer of ours in Blackfoot, and we have a series of 4 boards in Blackfoot, and they ran a similar message. And Bingham Memorial has always done very memorable and eye-catching ads, so they're a good example.
For sure,
of good branding. So
for sure, very simple. Well, like that one just says "and toes" that shows the doctor, his name, boom, logo.
Need your foot fixed? Go to that guy.
That's right. I agree. I love seeing unique ones. ICCU with their green, it just pops, So that's a good one. So what would be the main advice that you would give to our audience today? If they've been on the edge, thinking, I need to do something more to get my name, my company's name out there. What would be your advice if they were coming to buy a billboard from you?
I would say my advice is to think about your advertising as a symphony, right? You want to have multiple streams of advertising going all at once. And that is actually where you find the billboard effectiveness coming through most strongly, is if they've seen a print ad that you've made and then they drive by and they see a billboard, or vice versa, that's when people are really starting to get it into their minds that this is a company that I'm going to call. And so being consistent in your branding is big, being memorable, like you said, but using your billboard primarily to promote your brand is a good idea because, well, let me add a caveat to this, but billboards tend to go up for 3 months at a short term.
Sure.
Sometimes they're up for a whole year. They're kind of, they can have some expense to producing them and installing them on the structure. And so thinking about simplifying the message, making it memorable, making it complementary to your other advertising streams can be very helpful. Now, the caveat that I want to add to that is with digital billboards. These are very effective in getting instant messages out. So if you're doing a flash sale, or if you're doing a certain promotion for, you can even set up a digital, if you're a restaurant, you can set up a digital billboard to literally show a picture every other day of whatever your soup of the day is. You know, so on Monday, you got the crab bisque. On Tuesday, you got the chowder, and you'll have the pictures changed by the day. And if you're running events, same thing. So you can save a lot of money on a digital billboard by changing your message more regularly because the cost of production is nil.
And I think people expect that on a digital board too. They're like, all right, we've seen this now for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Let's get something different. You know,
I agree.
give me a different message.
I agree.
Give me something else to consume, you know.
People are looking at them and they want it to change, I think.
And they want the change.
The more you can change it, the better.
And people are bright, you know. We have some really smart consumers, you know, and especially now with the internet and everything else.
Yeah.
It's completely changed the game. So they want new information.
Yep.
As fast as you can get it to them. So, so that's good. So yeah, I love that idea. You know, we just recently put one up for our company, New Clean, with you guys.
Yeah.
I think it's an eye catcher.
Yeah.
It's got a gal screaming into a phone.
Yeah.
Simple little phrase.
Yep.
Logo. Phone number. Phone number is a trackable phone number.
Yeah.
So if anyone calls that number, I know exactly that it came from that ad. So that's something that I would recommend, even though we'll see what happens. You know, I'm not expecting tons of phone calls, but what I'm expecting is top of mind awareness.
Right.
You know, people, when they think of janitorial, New Clean, you know, they can think of someone goofy, Spencer, you know, so that's just how it is. So,
yeah.
Well, perfect. What's something that you're not very good at right now?
Oh man, the list is long, but I am not good at cold calling people. I hate doing that. I know that's like number one for salespeople, like getting over that anxiety of rejection and all that. But I am not very good at that. I'm getting much better. Yeah. But yeah, that one is one thing I'm not very good at. And yeah, I'll stick with that.
I like that one. Let's talk about that for a minute, because we're talking about advertising. We're talking about catching people's attention, cold calling. I don't like to go in cold. Yeah. I like to always say I'm going to go in warm. Meaning I've researched the person I'm going to call, and then you have a little bit of information about them, and it's also, you know, it's daunting. Yes. Because I've done it, you know, for years when I was in the commercial real estate, trying to get all CEOs even of these big companies, trying to get them into Pocatello when I was with Don Zeeby. And I remember the daunting task. You know, number one, it's intimidating to try to get a hold of a massive CEO of these companies. And a few times I did, and you almost hear tongue-tied because you're like, okay, it actually worked. I've got through to him now, so what do I say? Yeah. But yeah, it's you've got to have something that's going to catch their attention right off the bat, kind of. Well, first of all, you got to get through the gatekeeper. Right. So that's a big one. You have to have something to say to get through the gatekeeper, and that's a whole nother call and a whole nother episode altogether.
Yeah, and so the way that I have come around to combating my anxiety on that is that, like you said, you do the research, and I'm sure you did this when you were doing the real estate. Yep. You didn't just call any random CEO. Mm-hmm. You know, you found the person, and you had something that actually would benefit them. You know, and so that we try to do that too when we cold call. We wouldn't just cold call someone that we thought wouldn't necessarily be a good fit, though you can't always know who would be a good fit and who's going to want it. Yep. You know, But yeah, you try and look at it as this is something that is going to help your business. We can provide that service to you, and it kind of helps change the mindset. You know, if you look at business as an opportunity to serve other people, you know, obviously you're trying to make a little money too doing it, but you know, it needs to have that aspect of helping others. Otherwise, your product isn't going to work.
Exactly. And the CEOs aren't going to like this little bit that I'm going to say.
Okay.
But it's good for the sales guys.
Yeah.
You start with the CEO because most of the time he's not going to make that full decision of what you're calling for real estate, for janitorial, or anything like that. But if you catch their attention, they'll say, "Hey, you need to talk to so and so in our real estate department or in our facilities department." And then that second phone call.
Yeah. Hey, I just spoke with your CEO.
I just spoke with so and so. He told me to get a hold of you. Oh, it completely changes the dynamic of that phone call.
Absolutely.
And you have a good conversation.
Yeah.
And it's yours to lose at that point. So, so I like it. Cold calling, no one likes it, but there's some people that are brilliant at it, and I don't want to do that for a career, but there's.
It's you got to do it.
You got to do it.
Part of the job.
Part of the job. Okay. Well, what's something that is right and correct that no one else agrees with you? Like, what's something? I'm trying to say this right. So, what's something you do or say that's correct but no one else agrees with?
Well, first off, all of my opinions are correct.
I think people on Facebook also think that too.
Yeah.
Their opinions.
Wow. You know, we live in an age of everyone is right and everyone else is wrong. Right. I mean, it's wild, you know? So, I don't know. I know that, well, I'm going to change the answer a little bit.
Okay.
One thing that, I do is like, I get very animated when I talk. And people perceive that to be like an angry passion. Sure. They think I'm upset, you know, and I'm like, no, I'm not upset. So I guess one thing where I feel that I'm right and everyone feels I'm wrong is when I get excited about things. Sure. I feel like I'm just excited, but people think I'm upset, you know. So yeah, that one's funny.
I like it.
That's one I got to work on.
My wife always says, "You give me a look, and I think you're mad at me." And I'm like, "Really? Like I gotta pay attention to that though. I don't want to be ticking people off over here." So
right.
Okay, well, we're coming to the end. This is where I typically do a sponsorship break with Dale's Outdoor Advertising. You've heard about Dale's Outdoor Advertising people right now. You know Rob. You can see his face. You know who you're going to be talking to when you call. Rob, do we have a special offer for them if they mention the podcast?
Yeah, mention the podcast. Spencer's mentioned all the stats before. You know, I'm not going to rehash all that. But, yeah, if you mention the podcast, call me. We'll get you up on a billboard. We can waive your choice. We can waive, depending on the contract. We'll talk about it. We'll get you a good deal. We'll waive a month's rent, or we'll do the install for you for free. We'll give you a good deal, save you some money, get you up there, especially if it's your first time going up on a billboard and you just want to try it out. We'll make it so that it'll be worth your time.
Hey, you can't pass that up. A month's rent or free installation.
Yeah, that's
good stuff. So mention the Poketail podcast, you saw this episode, or just the podcast. Like, you're gonna have to see this episode to know the deal.
Yeah.
And Rob will make it happen for you. Rob, tell them what number they need to call.
So you can call 208-232-6886.
Perfect. Okay, Rob, the end here. What's one of your favorite restaurants you got here in town?
I know it's been said before on the podcast.
It's okay.
But I'm going to go with Thai Kitchen.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Good one.
Good one. Okay, what's your favorite just general business to spend your money at?
Yeah, I knew you'd ask me that question. And so I want to preface this by saying that we have 140 tenants, commercial tenants in Pocatello. And so I like doing business with all my tenants, almost all my tenants.
I'm a tenant, so he knows.
I like doing business with you. But so I picked a non-tenant to be neutral, and I like the Real Theater.
Hey,
I remember going there as a kid. I know it's nothing fancy, but you know what? It's a good place to spend a couple bucks, take your kids, watch a good movie. They always have good movies. I feel they tend to cater to families, I think, a lot there, which which is great. I got three kids under 5, so it's perfect.
And it's cheaper to take your family.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Well, good guys. We're glad to have you join us today. If you want to be a big deal, come on to the podcast with us. That's what my guests are. They're big deals in the community. They're making things happen. They're producing in the community. That's what we want to do in Pocatello. That's what we're trying to push with this podcast, is help people out, keep this community rolling, and let's just keep making Pocatello an awesome place to live. So, Rob, thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And until next time, guys, adios.
Congratulations on spending a couple minutes getting just a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Pocatello business community. If you are feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.